We will go through the summary of the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho in 2 parts following the book's structure. Let's begin with the first part. It begins when a young shepherd boy named Santiago arrives at an abandoned church with his sheep at dusk. The church, with a collapsed roof and an enormous sycamore growing where the sacristy once stood, serves as his resting place for the night. He is careful to secure his sheep within the ruins, reflecting on a past incident where a sheep wandered off, causing him a day's search. He uses his jacket to clean the floor and a recently finished book as a pillow, contemplating the practicality of thicker books for comfort. Santiago wakes up early, before dawn, noticing the stars through the ruined roof. He recalls a recurring dream that he's had, which again, he awoke from before it ended. As he wakes his sheep, he reflects on the deep connection he shares with them, a bond forged over 2 years of shepherding. He wonders whether it's the sheep that have adapted to his schedule or vice versa. Santiago takes time to wake each sheep individually, believing they understand his words. He often shares his thoughts and readings with them, discussing various topics from his loneliness as a shepherd to the things he's seen in villages. Recently, Santiago's thoughts and conversations with his sheep have centered around a girl, the daughter of a merchant in a village they're approaching. He recalls his previous visit to the village a year earlier. The merchant, who insists on overseeing the shearing of the sheep, is the girl's father. During that visit, he met the girl, who was intrigued by his ability to read. They spent time talking, with Santiago sharing stories of his travels and the girl describing her life in the village. He finds himself captivated by her, experiencing a longing to settle down in one place, a stark contrast to his nomadic life as a shepherd. The story concludes with Santiago shearing 4 sheep for the merchant, getting paid, and being asked to return the following year. He is left with a profound sense of longing and a shift in his aspirations, deeply impacted by his brief interaction with the merchant's daughter. Please subscribe to the channel to never miss any episode. If you have any book to listen to, pen it down in the comments. So, the shepherd finds himself eagerly anticipating his return to the village where he had met the merchant's daughter. Despite trying to convince himself otherwise, he is anxious about whether she remembers him. He reflects on the nomadic life of shepherds and how they often find someone in a town who makes them reconsider their wandering lifestyle. As he travels, Santiago contemplates the simple desires of his sheep and their dependence on him for guidance. He muses on the nature of change and preparation, appreciating the practicality and symbolism of his jacket. He reminisces about his past, revealing that he had once been a seminary student with an aspiration to travel rather than become a priest, a path influenced by his family's expectations and their simple rural life. Santiago's father had understood his son's desire to see the world and gave him a start by providing him with money to buy a flock of sheep. This act launched him on his journey of exploration and self-discovery. Now, as he approaches the village, Santiago plans to trade his book for a new one and prepare for his meeting with the merchant's daughter, revealing his deep yearning for her. Drop a like if you're enjoying the audio summary. Moving on. Upon reaching the town of Tarifa, Santiago visits an old woman known for interpreting dreams. He shares with her his recurring dream of a child who leads him to the Egyptian pyramids, where he is told of a hidden treasure. The woman interprets the dream, advising him to go to the pyramids to find this treasure and asks for 1/10 of it as her fee. Despite his initial skepticism, he agrees. After the consultation, Santiago tries to dismiss the significance of his dream. He spends time in the city, reflecting on the nature of personal freedom and choice, and his desire to live life on his own terms. His contemplation is interrupted by an old man who engages him in conversation about life and destiny. The man introduces himself as Melchizedek, the King of Salem, and expresses interest in his life and dreams. He offers guidance in finding the hidden treasure in exchange for 1/10 of his sheep. Santiago is initially dismissive, but is taken aback when the old man writes in the sand details of his life that he could not have known, signaling the beginning of a mysterious and significant journey for Santiago. The old man, the King of Salem, engages in a deeper conversation with the shepherd. He explains that the most significant reason for their meeting is Santiago's success in discovering his destiny. Melchizedek elaborates on the concept of destiny, describing it as what one truly desires to accomplish in life. He mentions a mysterious force that often convinces people over time that their dreams and destinies are unattainable. The old man's words initially confuse Santiago, but he is intrigued, especially by the idea of a force that actually helps one realize their destiny. Melchizedek speaks of the universe's role in helping achieve one's deepest desires, whether it's traveling, finding love, or seeking treasure. He asserts that realizing one's destiny is the only real obligation in life. As they observe the townspeople, Melchizedek points out a baker who had dreams of traveling, but chose a more conventional path, emphasizing how societal expectations often overshadow personal dreams. Santiago is reminded of the merchant's daughter and the societal preference for stable professions over a shepherd's nomadic life. Old Man then explains his role in helping people realize their destinies, appearing in various forms and at crucial moments. He shares a story of a miner who, after years of fruitless searching for emeralds, discovers one thanks to Melchizedek's intervention. This story underlines the idea that people often abandon their quests just when they are on the brink of success. Returning to Santiago's dream of finding treasure, Melchizedek asks for a tenth of Santiago's flock as payment for guiding him towards the treasure. Santiago offers a tenth of the treasure instead, but the old man explains that promising something one doesn't have can diminish the desire to work for it. The boy recalls his promise to the gypsy woman and understands the importance of knowing the price of one's actions, a lesson from the warriors of the light. Melchizedek instructs the boy to bring a tenth of his flock the next day for further guidance on finding the hidden treasure. The old man then leaves, disappearing around the corner of the plaza, leaving Santiago to contemplate the significant conversation and the choices before him. The shepherd is deeply affected by his conversation with the King of Salem. He buys bread from the bakery, but refrains from sharing the old man's insights with the baker, fearing it might unsettle him. Santiago then wanders to the ticket window for Africa, contemplating the journey to Egypt, but is hesitant about abandoning his familiar life as a shepherd. While reflecting on his flock and his life choices, Boy visits the city's castle, where he views Africa from afar. He struggles internally, torn between the safety and familiarity of his current life and the allure of his dreams and destiny. He recognizes that, like his family and the sheep, he can adapt to new circumstances. The next day, he meets Melchizedek again and brings 6 sheep as promised. The old man speaks about the principle of favorability, or beginner's luck, suggesting that the universe helps initiate one's journey toward destiny. Old Man then inspects the sheep and affirms Santiago's destination as the Egyptian pyramids, as revealed in his dream. He advises Santiago to follow the omens on his path and gives him 2 stones, Urim and Thummim, to help interpret these omens when in doubt. Make sure to subscribe to never miss any episode of the books wished you have read. Melchizedek shares a story about a boy sent to learn the secret of happiness from a wise man. The boy is tasked with carrying a spoonful of oil without spilling it while exploring the wise man's palace. Initially, the boy focuses solely on the spoon, but when sent back to observe the palace's beauty, he forgets about the oil. The wise man's lesson is the secret of happiness. Appreciate the wonders of the world without forgetting one's responsibilities. Santiago understands the parable's relevance to his situation. He can pursue his dreams and explore the world, but he should not forget his responsibilities and origins. Melchizedek performs a ritualistic gesture over the boy and leaves with the sheep, setting him on the path to pursue his destiny. Santiago is left to embark on his journey, now equipped with the wisdom to balance his dreams with his duties. The King of Salem reflects on his encounter with Santiago as he sits at the old fort in Tarifa. He watches a ship leaving the port, aware that he will never see Santiago again, just as he never saw Abraham after their meeting. Despite his divine nature, he feels a human-like hope for Boy's success and a touch of vanity about being remembered. Meanwhile, Santiago finds himself in a bar in Tangier, Morocco, observing the unfamiliar customs and feeling isolated due to the language barrier. He is approached by a young man who speaks Spanish, and Santiago asks for help to reach the pyramids. He shows the man his money and they leave the bar together, planning to buy camels for the journey. However, Santiago is distracted by a beautiful sword at a market stall, and when he turns around, he discovers that the young man has disappeared with his money. Feeling betrayed and alone, the boy weeps in the now deserted marketplace, lamenting the drastic turn his life has taken in just one day. From being a shepherd in Spain, he has become a stranger in a foreign land, with nothing left but a book, his jacket, and the 2 stones Urim and Thummim given to him by Melchizedek. He experiments with the stones to seek guidance about his situation. Both stones fall through a hole in his pouch, which he interprets as an omen not to rely too heavily on them for decisions. He decides to take charge of his own destiny, drawing confidence from the realization that Melchizedek's blessing is still with him. Santiago shifts his perspective from seeing himself as a victim to viewing himself as an adventurer in search of his treasure. This change in mindset rekindles his determination to pursue his dreams, despite the challenges and uncertainties he faces in this new and unfamiliar environment. He awakens in the marketplace of Tangier, reminded of his new reality without his sheep and the familiar life he left behind. Despite his situation, he feels a sense of freedom and excitement about pursuing his treasure. As he wanders the market, helping a candy seller set up his stall, Santiago reflects on how people do things that bring them happiness, just as the old king had observed. He realizes the importance of understanding a language without words, a skill he had developed with his sheep and now sees applying to people. He encounters a crystal merchant whose shop is on a quiet street and has seen better days. The merchant, stuck in his routine for 30 years, is initially skeptical of Santiago, who offers to clean the dirty glasses in the shop window in exchange for food. His work brings 2 customers into the shop, prompting the merchant to invite him for lunch, where he reveals that he was obligated to feed Santiago according to his religious beliefs anyway. After lunch, the crystal merchant offers him a job, interpreting the customer's arrival as a good omen. Santiago agrees to work, but only for the day, hoping to earn enough money to continue his journey to Egypt. However, the merchant explains that even a year's work would not be enough to cover the travel costs. This revelation crushes his spirits, bringing a profound silence and sense of hopelessness. The crystal merchant notices boy's despair and offers him money to return to his home country. After a moment of contemplation, he decides to work for the merchant, but not for the purpose of returning home. Instead, he resolves to earn enough money to buy a new flock of sheep, accepting the reality of his situation and adapting his immediate goal while still holding on to his larger dream of finding his treasure. Click on this video to listen to the rest of the story. Trust me, you're gonna love the ending.